So official. All right, what up, everybody? This is Sawyer Saloon. I'm here with my buddy Spencer Cavins. Spencer, how we doing, man?
Doing well, dude. Thanks for having me. What is that trophy over your right shoulder? What did you
Uh,
win? Oh, there's a
that's
bunch
true.
of trophies.
Yeah, so all of those trophies are my brother's gymnastics trophies. He was in gymnastics,
I
state
knew
champ.
I was gonna say gay sex,
Yeah,
and then you said gymnastics, and I was like, wow, I was right there.
that's why I love living with him as the other guy because I know any girls I bring over, I have no competition.
That's right. Does he still do gymnastics?
He does not. He taught it for a little bit, but now he's in pharmacy school. I don't know. He's trying to be successful or something. I don't know.
Yeah, yeah. And but you're DJing and you're hosting open. Yeah,
That's what I'm
we're
saying.
good.
If you host an open mic, man, you're making it.
Oh, dude, I had. Do you guys ever do a featured comic at your open mic?
Yeah, I do. I do it at everyone just to try and like build up some hype and give people more time.
Yeah, and here's the thing: at your open mic, it seems like you actually get a good attendance. Like there's people who come and see that, so they're going to enjoy. And for anyone who's listening who like doesn't know, it's open mic is you could have anywhere from Lake Charles. It's probably maybe like 30 people. Here, there's some mics where it's like have up to 100 comics who are all signing up to do 3 minutes at this open mic, and there's not an audience here. Like Lake Charles, you guys have an audience at your mic. People come to support and watch the comics. So I was the featured comic at a mic last night, which is all it is that I'm bumping like 40 comics
Yeah.
who have to sit there and watch me perform for 15 minutes bitterly waiting for their spot to go up. But that's the only audience because there
Right.
are no audience, like open mics aren't a draw here. So that's who I was performing for, was just like, in Austin's so insane that it's like people with like face tattoos and shit just staring at me, just like nodding along as I do 15 minutes of material. It was brutal. Absolutely brutal.
Dude, that's tough for like any type of open mic in Austin because from what I hear, that's how all of the audiences are. It's mainly just comics because all the people who are like, doing well with it or doing better or have gotten in because of how the scene's grown. It's just you just work out material at like a book show, whether you're doing a
That's
guest
right.
spot or
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah. And there's like a million shows, and there's a lot of really good free shows here. So it's like if you have one thing that's advertising like open mic, there's going to be 75 comics all going up. It's like, or I could go a few blocks away and there's like a free, pretty good show.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Jacob Guidry's on it, Nat's on it, yeah, whoever. Like it's they're competitive with the paid shows. So I don't know.
Do you find how do you find because I've had comics view differently about it. I've had some be like, so the graphic for the show, how important do you think it is to have the comics like names and stuff on there?
Zero.
It's
No
not.
one's a draw.
It's not.
Nah, it's not at all. Yeah. I remember somebody trying to make me feel embarrassed about it. And I don't really. It's like the steps you got to go through. But when I first started producing a show, it would be everybody's face on the thing. That's always really important. And it was like hosted by Spencer Cavins. And it's like me like holding a mic laughing and I'm big and in the corner of it. And then it's everyone's face. And this guy who's pretty far along, San Antonio comics, been doing it like 15 years. He was on the show. He was our book like headliner. And he goes, this flyer is like an open micer's wet dream, where it's just you want to put you and all your friends' faces up, but no one gives a shit.
Yeah.
Like that's all room for other information, or for like an interesting graphic where it's like, oh, that the illustration appeals to me. This looks like it could be a fun show instead of just my fucking stupid head on the thing.
Yeah. Something else that could be like a draw. Dude,
Yeah.
the worst graphic I've ever seen. It was from Alexandria. And my buddy was like, yeah, this dude hit me up to be on a show. He was another comic from here in Lake Charles. And he sent me the graphic. And it was just like, it looked like the Brady Bunch. There were 15 comics on the show and on the graphic. And his face was like, they had to edit it. So it was only like the top half of his face that was actually on the graphic.
Yeah.
And people look at that and they're like, this is good. I'm going to put this out there,
Oh, dude, the my favorite are black flyers for black shows.
Oh, dude.
They're so good because it's just like there's like chicks on it, like hot like ratchet chicks on the thing, and there's so many there's so many performers' names on them, and they're all insane. They all, it's like they're comics, but it's all just like Twisted Oreo,
Yeah.
like, but that's the name of the performers. Um, and then you're like reading it, and it's like music at 6 o'clock, comedy at 7:30, and then it's like $20 a plate, and it's like, wait, there's food? Like, what is this show? And it's like $1 oysters. What is the show? Is it music? Is it oysters? Is it a strip club? Or I don't know what it is. The Black Flyers are my favorite.
Dude, they're so awesome. And like I think it's so funny because it's never like at their actual names. Like they all have nicknames. Like
Yeah.
and that's I used to think of it as like it's almost like they're Lord of the Rings characters. Like because it's like Nat the hilarious or whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, like Gimli the Brave, but
Yeah.
their thing's all just like Demarius the hilarious.
Yeah.
It's like, okay.
It's so funny, man.
And you know what's funny? Those guys are often I think black comics have like a really high baseline for funny. Like America just in general, like one, they just have black people are funny. Like they have good sense of humor. But also I think America's like pretty ready to like laugh with them. But oftentimes when you see that guy who has the name like what you're describing, where it's like Darius the hilarious, he's never that good.
Yeah.
He's always just kind of hovering around that same baseline he's been at for like 10 years. Like he's not bad, he's just not that good.
Yeah.
There's something about a stage name that kind of fucks you. Like you can't grow past it or something. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, I've never done a stage name. I don't know why people like you should do a stage name. I'm like, why? What's the point of having one,
Why did they say that?
I don't know. They're just like, oh, you do stand. It comes from people who are like not in an entertainment space, and they're like, oh, you should have a stage name, something that catches people's attention.
You know what? I think they're just thinking of something to say.
Yeah, I think that's it.
Because I bet if you ask like really sincerely, you were like, I'm just curious, like what's the kind of main advantage to that, do you think? What are the main reasons? They'd be like, I don't know, it's just fun. Larry the Cable Guy. They'll probably just say a guy with a stage name's name at you. And you'll be like, okay, you just are you're being nice. You're trying to make conversation. It's okay.
Yeah. Dude, that is in Lake Charles. As far as anybody knew about comedy, we had this girl, Jen Kober. You know who Jen Kober is?
Mm-mm.
She's the only one who's like made it big out of Lake Charles. Her and this other guy, Jeff D. But Jen, like she was in an episode of The Mandalorian. She was in American Reunion. She was Natasha Lyonne's or whatever her name is, like her wife that she shows up with. Like,
yeah.
So, but she travels all around. And I don't know why I was talking about that. I'm gonna be honest with you.
Does she have a stage name?
No, she doesn't have a stage name. But as far as like what people know about comedy, like in Lake Charles, they know Jen Kober, and then they know all of the guys that come through to the casinos, which is Larry the Cable Guy, Jeff Foxworthy.
Oh yeah.
Ron White, Rodney Carrington.
Yes,
boy, did they love Rodney Carrington.
Rodney, dude, that is Dean Stanfield, the great Dean Stanfield. That is his favorite comedian. He's tried to get me for years to like get into him, and I tried listening, and I was like, I'm just gonna have to chalk this one up to like nostalgia for you.
Yeah.
Like there's certain I love the movie Arachnophobia.
Mm-hmm.
I bet it's dog shit. I haven't seen it in years, but I loved watching it as a kid. It was so scary, like, sleepovers and watching it. So I think I like it. That's Dean with Rodney Carrington, I think. Unless, I don't know. Does it hold up?
Not really. No, I get the advertisements for it, and I heard one of his jokes. They was like, man, you nobody can get divorced anymore. You got to stay together. A pack of Bates cost $20 now. And then it was like laughter. And I was like, God damn it. This is what people think is funny.
A pack of dates?
A Bates, like fish baits. Like, yeah.
Good God.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is like, none of the blue collar comedy or even like Southern, like people keep telling me I got to check out this new Dusty Slay special that came out. I don't know. And I think it's just like chalk it up to like lived experience and just no relation. But like, I don't like comedy that comes out of the South that is still very like South focused. I just like can't fuck with.
Mm-hmm.
And it's probably because I don't relate to it at all, but it's also just feels very uncreative to me.
Yeah. Cause you're a Northern boy, right?
I'm a Northern boy. And it just, I don't know, it's weird. It's like, it seems, I think anybody who's, I don't, comedy that's like based on identity is boring to me. So it's not just a
Mhm.
Southern thing. Well, I mean, I have black comics who are black friends who are comics who, when I see them go up and their whole thing is just like a lot of white people here. What up? Oh yeah, you look like you type an email to the manager talking about hello, please, sir. Like anything that's like just strictly identity driven on stage is just so boring.
Yeah.
Uh, but also a lot of like the South comedy. We get a lot of them here in Austin. It's interesting to watch them have to like kind of form. I feel like Austin's a good stepping stone for that, where you make
Mhm.
it Austin, and it's like, okay, these are people from all over the country, so I can still go out and hit some of these places where like my material really does resonate, but then also I can kind of mold it to like the younger metropolitan audience.
Mhm.
Austin's kind of good for that.
So y'all, dude, every time I've gone and done a show in Austin, the crowd has just been extremely diverse. Like you never know what you're gonna get with the audiences. Is that how you feel? Maybe
Not
that's
in
just
terms of
me.
color.
Okay.
You think? I mean, they're all white. Do you mean diverse in terms of like emotionally diverse, or like?
Just like different,
Did you mean?
like like ages too. Like a lot of the shows that I put on, we get a lot of like couples in their like 40s and 50s. That's like a lot of the people that come out. But y'all have people like younger people, like people in their 20s, like, maybe even college people that like come out.
Yeah, yeah, we do get that. The cool thing about Austin is that I don't think it's not a super diverse place in terms of audiences. Although I guess if you do East Austin Comedy Club, that probably feels maybe a little more diverse than most.
Mm-hmm.
Like kind of Center Vulcan, and I mean it's all white people, which is why it's hard to work out a lot of like racial stuff. Like I literally will go to Houston and I'll go with a bag of like, all right, these are like race related jokes that I have. So I got to try them all here. So I got
Mm-hmm.
to work on these all weekend in Houston and fucking bomb with this like new idea because you can't get a good read in Austin because like
Right.
I need to see like black people in the audience or Mexican people in the audience and see like what do they think of the joke.
Mm-hmm.
And you don't really get that in Austin, but what you do get that's cool is you get like these really young hip crowds, which you have seen
Mm-hmm.
at like East Austin, and and then you can drive just 25 minutes out of the city, and suddenly you're in like pretty conservative, what we would call like the salt of the earth, people that are, Christian conservative, going to be a little less lenient, and you can do the same jokes in one night and see like how do they hit. So when I'm talking to some, gay Asian girl with a septum piercing who's very hip. What does she think about the joke? And then in that same night, I can go and see just some working class dude who just drove up in a Toyota Tacoma
Mm-hmm.
and still has some mud on his boots and see what he thinks about the same joke. You know, do you have that in Lake Charles, or are you mostly performing for? I felt like in terms of age, it felt pretty diverse when I did
Mm-hmm.
Library Riot. It
Yeah.
was all white people, but it felt
Yeah.
like there were some college people all the way up to like 50s, 60s, I felt like.
Yeah. There's normally a good, like every now and then we'll have like college people in just because I know so many people who are that age and like they'll come out to see the show. But like for like I guess like a cold audience for people you wouldn't expect to come out. That kind of stuff happens every now and then. Honestly, like every 5 or 6 shows, we'll have a whole show where it's just people who are like 60 and above, and they'll all come out.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
sometimes that can ruin the show because they're just so stick in the mud, and then they get drunk, and if they don't care, which a lot of them don't, they'll just start talking to each other. Then it's just like a huge distraction the whole time. So I don't know. It just
When they're
depends.
60-year-olds?
Yeah.
Yeah, because they don't give a fuck. Because we're babies to them.
Mm-hmm.
We're not even like men to them. We're babies. So they're like, I don't care what this guy's like take is,
Yeah.
you know.
They don't care.
Yeah.
They've never used a dating app before. They don't know.
Yeah, there's like I think maybe the worst audience member in the world potentially. Not all
Mm-hmm.
these people are, but is a hot young girl.
Oh,
Like that's
absolutely.
always that's the most like they're the most like they don't want to laugh and they think you want to fuck them and you do. And they've also like they're drinking and they're down, they'll heckle. They have so much confidence that they'll
Hmm.
say whatever during a show. They take pride in like showing you that like you're not making them laugh. So there's that, but they can also be very fun. So, but that's like and then below them, dude, it's a specific type of, it's like the kind of tough, conservative blue collar guy. What like they're fucking. These are typically like great audiences, but
Hmm.
there's a macho ness to that where they love to let you know that you're not making them laugh. They think what you're doing is gay, and I'm going to keep talking to my friends, and I'd love to see you try to do something about it. Like there's a confrontation there. They're confrontational.
Hmm.
They're just very like kind of very masculine in that way, and you're by definition to them you're like a theater kid, you're like a thespian on stage. They see no difference. You're like doing improv for them, and they're like, yeah, I'm gonna have some beers and talk really loudly with my friends, and let's see what you want to do about it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, absolutely. We used to do shows at these daiquiri shops, and daiquiri shops are
Oof.
the worst places to go and do
So bad.
stand-up
Why do they keep doing comedy? Why has everyone done comedy at a daiquiri shop?
because they keep paying us. That's why we were
Yeah,
doing it.
yeah.
And but my buddy Chase, he goes up on stage and he's talking, and this one dude at the bar just won't shut up. And it's about as big as like East Austin, like if there were no walls. So and he goes, "Hey man, like, I'm telling jokes up here." And he goes, "You're up there and I'm over here. It'll be all right." And then just kept talking. And they don't give a fuck. It's a lot of like blue collar guys that go there. They just got off of work. They don't want to fucking listen to anybody. They just want to drink, get fucked up, and then go home.
Yeah, yeah. It's brutal. Also, what you're describing, I take it they didn't go to the daiquiri shop for the show. They're there
No.
to get daiquiris and a show's happening.
Exactly, yeah. Which is also that's
Horrendous.
horrendous, yeah. And anytime you bomb someone and you're like, "Hey, we got a comedy show that's starting right now," and they have no idea, it's never going to be a good time because they're they
Yeah,
they really don't give a fuck then. Because you can't be like, "Hey guys, I'm up here doing my jokes, respect me." They don't respect you.
they don't care. Yeah. What do you I mean, so you host a lot of shows,
Yeah.
right? Like so you have, which I think is like the best. I think it's the single thing that makes you go like good quickly.
Hmm.
Um I always have to preface this stuff with like I don't actually know what I'm talking about. I'm too young in the comedy, but like from personal experience, I do feel like having to go and wrangle these crowds, it just does. It makes you good. If you do anything that sucks that bad, as much as cold opening, like a rowdy bar show or an open mic, you are going to get better. Um, but now you're kind of I've seen you in Lake Charles. You're kind of the man there. I say,
Yes.
yeah, I'll say it for you. That's what I thought the trophy was for, is just for being the
So,
fucking. You're like slinging dick around the bars at, where was the place we went? Fucking Dirty Harry's
obese.
or something. OBs. Uh,
Obese. Oh, I lost you for a second. All right, guys, time to bring you a message from one of our sponsors, Gay Sex. Just kidding, it's just gymnastics. All right.
okay, hold on. I'm back on. Somebody called me and it grabbed my Bluetooth. Can you
You're
hear me
good.
now?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay. Okay, sweet. Sorry. What I was getting at is do you feel like you get some level of like respect now? You've been doing shows there for a while. I feel like people know you. Everyone seems to be a fan.
Yeah, so I've been doing it for about 4 years. And so the cool thing is to see how it's actually built into something that people like you said, respect is like a brand, almost like Lake Charles comedy. And so, but they associate that with me just because it's a small town and it's just, I'm the only person, doing it. But what I thought was really funny is like I said, I've been doing comedy for 4 years. And a few months ago, my buddy was talking to me And the person that he was talking to, everybody always says you're funny. Like, oh yeah, man, that was funny, that's whatever. And they were talking to him and they said, Jacob's actually really funny. And it was like, but they had been telling me that they thought I was funny for years. And so I don't take
Yeah,
that, because you never know like what they
sure.
really think, if they're just being nice or not. So it's cool to see that people are now starting to accept it as like, this is not just some weird thing he's doing. He's not just an open micer. This is like a for real like comedy experience that's being put on.
Yeah, yeah, totally. It's and that is awesome. That moment where you know what's funny too though? I always get I remember being at like various levels of being like, ooh, now I want my friends to see me. And
Mm-hmm.
then and like, I remember doing that. Well, actually, your story is the craziest because wasn't your first time doing comedy? You were doing it in front of all of your friends, and you did like
Yeah.
35 minutes.
All of my friends, me and my buddy both did half an hour of material we'd never done before. I had a whole bit where my cousin left a box of stuff after Christmas, and I went through all of his stuff and had a joke for each piece that I pulled out. Just like, carrot top shit. Absolutely terrible. Uh, yeah. What was your first experience like?
Doing stand up?
Yeah.
It wasn't that. I'd gone. I've been wanting to do it for a really long time, and then I was about to turn 28 the next day. So it would have been June 3rd of 2019. Uh, and so I knew I was about to turn 28, and I told myself like years before, I was like, I'm going to do stand up. And that year I told myself, like, I'm going to do stand up. I'm going to start doing stand up this year. And I never did. I was too scared. I would write jokes. I would eat myself. Dude, I have such an embarrassing, I'll show you the next time we're together. I have a really embarrassing video of me doing stand up. I still drank then too. So I'm just like, I'm trashed. It's like 3 a.m. and I'm in front of my bathroom mirror holding my phone, doing stand up to see what I would look like on stage. But Jacob, here's the worst part. I'm doing crowd work.
You did the crowd work to nobody.
Yeah.
That's a nice
I was
bathtub.
doing rehearsed stuff, and I'd being like, no, I know. Hold on, stay with me. And like doing that kind of shit as I'm telling these fucking dog shit jokes. And so anyway, so I'd been trying to do it for a while, and then or wanting to do it. I desired doing it. And then I went skydiving because that like terrified me. And I was just like, I'm going to try to do this. It's like, what's my biggest fear? And it's like fucking falling out of a plane. Pretty high up there. And so I did, I went skydiving, and then I went and got sushi with this girl, and we drank a bunch of sake, and she had done open mics before. So she had been trying to encourage me to go.
Mm-hmm.
And then she was like, I was like, do you want to do it tonight? And I was so scared. And I got like drunk all day, and I drank like multiple double bourbons before going up. And then I went up and I told a story about my homeless brother. And there was actually a line, and it's the mic isn't even around anymore, but it was like a notoriously like bad, shitty bar mic on a Saturday night that's all comics. Actually, remember there was one line that I had that got like a whole room pop, like a big, like all the comics were laughing, and I would just, and the rest was obviously a bomb.
Yeah.
But I would sit there for like 2 weeks. I sat there and just played that laugh back over and over, and I just keep scrubbing the video because obviously I videotaped it.
Yeah.
Everybody does that; they videotape it. It's just the worst 3 minutes of footage. It's worse than watching a beheading video. I'd rather jack off to a beheading video than go and watch my first 3 minutes. Truly. But I would just keep playing that part back where I got the laugh, and that was like it's like just doing bumps. It made me feel so good to hear that.
Yeah. I
now,
remember,
not so much. I wish it still felt that way. Yeah.
Yeah. It's tough to hit that high again. Like I don't know.
No.
It's tough. Dude, I remember one of my first mics. I was in Lafayette, and I was up there, and I think I was crushing. You always feel like you're crushing. So I'm up there. I'm like, I'm crushing. I'm killing it. And then I see the host give me the light. But in my head, this is like the second open mic I've ever done. I'm like, dude, I'm doing so good. She's taking a picture of me.
Oh.
And then she was like, And I was like, oh, my bad. I mean, all right, guys, that's my time. I went over. I ended up doing like 7 minutes because I just thought she was doing a photo
Oh
shoot of me
no, at
the
a
whole
mic.
time. At a mic. Yeah.
And did you record any of it?
I think so. Yeah. I just went through and dude, I don't know about you, but I've recorded a whole bunch of sets and I've listened to about 5% of them.
Yeah. I don't listen to it unless I felt like either I did something really good or really bad.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like my general rule is like if I did something good and I'm like, oh, that new joke really seemed to work. I wonder why. Or if I'll listen to the really bad ones. Uh, yeah, dude. It's funny because I like just started editing like little clips to put out
Mm-hmm.
just in the last like few months, and I'm coming up on like 5 years in now. I'm like 4.5 years in, and it's interesting now because I'm just starting to do it, and I resent it even now. I'm like, I hate that I have to do this. I hate that I'm even putting out like content this way. But what's weird is, dude, I hosted the Cap City Open Mic. So Cap City is like, it's like an institutional like club. It's owned by Helium
Yeah.
here. And so it's a good mic. You want to do it, you want to do well on it. It can actually lead to like them giving you other stuff. So they had me hosting it, and afterwards there's all these new comics who signed up for the mic that want to talk to me afterwards, which they don't realize. I'm nobody. You could be doing
Yeah.
this next week if you want. Like, I'm not a guy. I'm not a guy. But they all want to come and talk. And it was funny because the stuff that they were asking about was, and again, not that they should have been asking me anything. I have no wisdom to share, but the stuff that they were asking about was not comedy related. It was all clip related. Everything that people are starting now, it's all focused on like how do you like record your sets? Was this being recorded?
Mm-hmm.
Do you feel like do you like always do you put out a clip like from every set, or is it something that you do more sparingly? It was crazy hearing them talk, and then I was watching them build rapport with each other, being like, I just did a clip a couple days ago. It's like, oh really, how'd it do? And it's like, it got like 11 likes, but I'm playing around with the hashtags. I'm like, this is like your fifth mic. What are you doing? Why are you doing this?
Right. Yeah. Focus on being funny first.
Yeah, 100%. Even now, I feel like I'm like I would love to, you know, I would prefer to not put out anything until it's like I'm literally passed at a club that does like professional video work all the
Mm-hmm.
time, and I'm performing there so much that I can just do like multiple crowd work sets every week and put those out. Like that to me is the way to do it, but that doesn't exist here, so you kind of have to
Yeah.
do it yourself.
Because didn't it just pass Cap City and Mothership are the only ones to be passed at in Austin, right?
Yeah, Cap City doesn't even really pass you. They'll
Mm-hmm.
they'll they'll give you work, but yeah, Mothership's kind of the only place that's like, oh, you're in, and now you get regular. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's the only place where you call in for spots is Mothership.
Gotcha.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the very old LA style that they have. I think they're just trying to replicate, all of that over there.
yeah.
But I want to hear more about your journey into stand up. Like, talk to me about Slam Time Live, the podcast that you and Nat do. I've been listening to so
Uh,
many episodes. It's so much fun just to hear you guys banter, and y'all are so quick, and like everything just turns into just like a new story or a new accent or a new whatever that's popping up. And I love it, man. It's one of the funniest podcasts that I've listened to. Maybe it's just because like we know each other, so it's like funny to hear you
yeah,
guys talk, and so it's just like hanging with the boys. But it's so goddamn funny, man.
dude, it's so funny that you say this, and you actually sent me that really nice message where you're like, I almost dropped the bar on myself working out because I was laughing at something you guys said. And I hate to tell you this, we had maybe like the day before decided we were not going to do the podcast anymore.
What?
Yeah, we finally got a true blue fan, and we don't want to. Yeah, we stopped doing it. It was a lot of fun. Nat's is super funny. And there was like there was moments that were like great on it, but it also, I don't know, man. It feels like three white guys riffing on a podcast thing. It's just like it's being done by so many people at such a high level that I'm like, I just don't. I don't think the amount of time I was spending on it now, it's like that. It's
Yeah.
never gonna crack. I think if you spend time building yourself up and then start a podcast, people will go listen to the podcast. I think it's hard to do the other way around now.
I think so too, especially because, like you said, I mean, this is just like even this is just two white guys talking. Like, how many people are actually going to be interested in this that don't know who we are? Nobody, you know?
Yeah.
So it's just until you build yourself up and you have your own following. So then, like, it helps if you already have something built that they can just go to. But yeah, that's a lot. It's a lot of work that people don't realize. Dude, the amount of people who've just hit me up like, dude, we should start a podcast. We should do videos. We should do this. And I'm like, okay, who's going to pay the video guy? And I just asked that one question. They're like, oh, I just thought like maybe someone could do us a favor. And I'm like, that's not how that works, you know? And I mean, in Austin, there's so many people. So I feel like you could easily have somebody else who's like, oh, I want to do this. So like y'all would both, put it in the hours for free and do the free work. But over here, we have like, I have two guys that I know who actually film stuff and record and know what they're doing. And if you want to use them, you got to pay them.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
So that kind of
that's the other tough thing. Yeah, everybody starts like a podcast and they want to get because, dude, I feel like so much of it's kind of like going back to like people with the real thing. So much of like people in comedy, and I did this too. I'm no different. Like when I first started, I mean, I'm still pretty new at it, but like when I like first started, I made a lot of the same mistakes. Like you want to appear like a professional. Everybody, it's like, ooh, I started comedy. It took me long enough. So now I kind of just want to feel like I'm one of the guys right away. And part of that is it's like, I'm going to do a podcast. I'm going to pay for like real studio time. And it's like, I don't know. It still feels like a lot of the content shit. It just feels like a distraction from just getting funnier.
Yeah.
And just being not even undeniable because being undeniably you on stage. It's like everything else just pulls away from that, I feel like. Like projects are great, but it's just like I think you have to check in with yourself and be like, where am I spending my time?
Yeah.
That, and I hate editing.
Dude, editing is it's so tedious and annoying, and that's why people charge so much to do it, because it takes hours to do. I have a little man on the street interview show that I do called Jacob Talks, and I'll post it. We'll film maybe like 20 videos, and it'll take him a few weeks to get everything to me, just with all the editing. And some of these clips are like a minute long, or some of them are like, like maybe 15 seconds long, but it's still just with all the editing. If you want it to look good, and then you got to match up the audio. And then if you want captions, and if you're editing in, other pictures or stuff or graphics, it takes so much time to make it look nice.
Yeah, dude. I don't know. It's so funny with comedy. I love these moments where you're like, it's all for naught. Yeah. Like it's all for naught. You spend so much time. Ooh, this clip. And you know what? I bet it really is funny. I bet it's fucking great. And it's just perfect. And it's like, oh, I had this great moment with a friend and the chemistry's there. And we each had such a great back and forth. I'm going to edit it and caption it. And there's going to be an image. And then you put it out and it gets fucking 4 likes. And then you watch somebody that, it's like literally them being like white women when Mr. Brightside comes on. And it's just some guy with a towel on his head doing a dance in a bathroom. And it got 50 million views, and he's doing ads for Pepsi on his Instagram. Like, yeah. It's sick. Dude, I did the have you done the Mothership Mic yet?
I haven't, no.
Okay. You know how it's like essentially I've stopped viewing it this way. I really do just view it as a mic, but like it kind of is ostensibly like an audition for Adam Egett, who runs the Mothership, because he is there and he's in the back. And if you do, I mean, I would say if you do well enough, he'll tap you, but that's not true because you could go and slam there. But if you do something that draws his eye, he'll ask you to come back. So it's so funny because I've done it many times. And a lot of people have this real frustration where they're like, dude, I go up and I kill in that room and he never says anything to me. But then this guy will get it. And I'm like, dude, it's just the game. Like, that's just what I've never been asked back, Yeah. And I was there, and I was there with Dave J, another very funny comic. And we're both just like stand-ups. We're not like characters on stage. We're not particularly novel, arguably forgettable. But we're watching this guy go up, and he looks like a Lin-Manuel Miranda if he was a wrestler. Yeah. Like he's got long greasy Puerto Rican hair, and it's in like ringlets. And his whole thing is he talks like this. He talks like a fucking rapist the whole time. And
Well,
it like
do you know this
his
guy's
first
name?
line, his name's George. I've met him. He's very normal off stage.
I did comedy festival in Paris, Texas with him this past weekend.
You just met him. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
And his whole thing. Yeah. Yeah. He's like rubbing his nipples and he goes like, "Hey, Mothership, Daddy's home." And he's just making sex noises and then calling people. He goes, "You're a fucking fat pussy."
Yeah.
Like the people on stage, right? That's his whole thing. And he goes, his first joke is he goes, "I just got in from the retard strangling contest. Boy, is my neck sore." like that's the act. And I turn to Dave and I go, "Watch him get the tap. Watch him get the tap. I'm calling it right now." He gets off stage. He goes into the back to grab his like hat and his coat, and then is talking to Adam Egate for like 15 minutes. I
love that.
I knew it. So this is the best thing about comedy is that it's just all for naught. You know what I mean? Because Dave went up and crushed with great jokes about his kids and his life and his wife, and Adam couldn't give a fuck. You know, no one cares. It's like, no, tell that guy you're going to rape him and rub your nipples. That is hilarious. Like, and I get it, and he's not even wrong.
Yeah.
Like George is not a hat. He's not bad. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
It's just trying to be smart up there, you know?
That's so fucking funny, man. Well, look, dude, the timer's about up. We got 2 minutes left. I'm going to end the recording. But, dude, thanks for coming on.
Yeah, dude. Thank you for having me. I love you. You're the man, by the way. It makes me very happy to have sung your praises and then watching other Austin comics like link up with you and be like, you were like, Jacob's the guy. So any time you come to Austin, let me know and I'll do whatever I can to like get you on stuff and heavy vouch.
I know you will. I appreciate you, brother. Yeah. Thank you.
Cool. Thanks, Jacob. Have a good one, man.
You
Thanks
too.
for having me.